What's good, YouTube? It's your main man, AB the Hero, back again with another video. In today's video, we're talking Lonzo, LaMelo Ball. We're gonna break down the good, the bad, and the ugly from this season, because these two dudes are on two pretty good teams, but for some reason the road has been rocky. Let's get into it.
With my dude, AB the Hero. Well, we getting it down in the Ball State, baby.
AB, way to get out of the lane. Way to get out of the lane.
What do you thought about that, Jay?
I like that. Yeah, I told you, he's a hustler for it.
Let's go. I'm out.
All right, so first off, thank you for subbing to the channel, hitting the notification bell, and you, the one who slammed the like button before the intro was over. If I'm AB the Hero, you definitely Avenger, you a super friend, and I know for a fact that you part of the 15,000 plus folks who have subscribed to the channel, and we're on the way to 20K, so thank you, and let's do it that way. Let's get straight into this. I don't want to hold y'all too long, but I got a lot on my mind when it comes to this season with my boys Lonzo and LaMelo Ball. Now we look at these two numbers here, and from LaMelo, averaging 17 points a game, 6 assists, 5 boards. Seems like, you know what, he's having the better season statistically, almost at that 2 steal a game mark, which Lonzo is already at. Lonzo, a defensive stopper, 1.3 blocks a game, 5 rebounds, leading in that category, but the 12 points. I think that a lot of people really want to see Lonzo be able to up that ticker when it comes to the point totals, but he is on a team that really does not require him to score at that rate, like a Charlotte Hornets team does of LaMelo Ball. Now, what I do want to touch on and talk about is there's a lot of skepticism around the two situations that these young guys find themselves in. Now, they're both on two teams that are very highly ranked in the Eastern Conference. You got the Bulls at number 2, you got the Charlotte Hornets at number 5, but the individual play, right? If you're a fan of these two guys, you want to see something from them, and it seems like we're getting it at times, but at other times it's kind of up and down. Now I want to answer the question for you: should you be worried about this? And I will say it's a yes and a no. Now let me break it down for you. To me, these guys actually find themselves in two very similar situations. What do you mean similar situations? One of them playing Charlotte, one of them playing for Chicago. Two C teams, two C cities. Now think about that. Now I'm just playing. Here's what I got for you. Now, if you really look at the circumstances that they both find themselves in, they both in the organization's head are playing for two contending teams. This Charlotte Hornets team right now believes that they have an opportunity to make the playoffs and to go deep in it, potentially win it. This Chicago Bulls team feels like they definitely going to the playoffs, and they definitely have a shot to come out of the East. Now, the difference between these two guys' trajectory and how they have ended up in similar situations is interesting to me. Now, if you go back and you think about Lonzo Ball, right, because some of the questions that people have about him are based on the fact of, like, man, is he a bust at this statistical output? Is this what you want from a guy who is a 2nd overall pick in the draft? Has he been officially declared a bust? And here's what I'll say to you: I say no. And I think that he's found himself in such an interesting situation, because when you are drafted number 2 overall, typically you're going to a team that's pretty trash. The Lakers were pretty trash back then. He got to that Lakers team, and I think that in that time frame, I don't believe he lived up to the hype, right? I think that if you watch that basketball, you just didn't feel like it felt off. It didn't feel like you were getting the most out of Lonzo Ball at that time. right? He makes the transition over to the Pelicans, and you start to see some growth, and then it's a kind of a roller coaster ride with him there, right? Now you have him over in Chicago, and you have him on a team that is full with veteran players, and that is a solid contender. And what we've seen historically is that when you're when you get on that free agent contract and you somehow can end up on a team that's a contender, most of the time, unless you're the number one guy, you start to see the numbers slide. You look at what was going down with everybody who joined LeBron James in Miami, Cleveland, shoot, even in Los Angeles. Anthony Davis just had the worst statistical season of his career last year playing alongside LeBron James. But he also was on some of the best teams that he had ever been on in his entire career. Now, why does this matter? Because you take a guy like LaMelo Ball, right? Same thing, drafted pretty high in the draft last year, number 3, and supposedly in a normal circumstance, you go that high, you go into a team that's pretty trash, and you're going to come in and you're going hoop. You're going to be the guy. We need you to come in here and make impact right away so you can change the franchise. We've seen that with the Ben Simmonses, the Joel Embiids. You've seen that with the Trae Youngs, the Luka Doncic's, all of these guys who are lottery picks and come in at that high number. You start in the franchise says, you know what, man, here go the keys. Go ahead, let's see what you got. Do something. We need some help. Now, you flip that same script and you look at guys who have went to teams who are contenders, even if they go in them higher rounds. You look at my boy, you look at man, I just forgot his name. My dog who play up in went to IU, played for the Celtics, is getting some good rotational minutes, but was still drafted pretty high, but didn't come onto that team and be the guy, right? Y'all know, you drop a comment in the comment section with the name of who I'm talking about, and it's probably gonna hit me sometime in this video, and I'm be like, oh yeah, that dude. So what I'm saying to you is that you look at last year's draft. It's a very interesting one because you had the Minnesota Timberwolves picking number 2, who was a pretty bad team the season before, but they had a D'Angelo Russell. They had a Karl Anthony Towns. The expectations for them were to be a good team last season, even though they didn't. They had some injuries, had a lot of stuff going on. So we seen towards the end of the season, they gave Anthony Edwards the ball and said, you know what, man, just hoop, get better. Earlier in the season, we seen him not get that green light, and so which is why he started off kind of rocky when it came to the Rookie of the Year race. Now you go to number 2, you got James Wiseman and Golden State, and folks did not expect James Wiseman to really move the needle over there anyway, and he was never going to be the dude they gave the keys to the franchise to, just because that team found themselves in a unique situation anyway, in which they got to pick that high. Now you go to number 3, you got your boy LaMelo Ball, Charlotte Hornets. Team who was pretty trash the season before. We expect, you know what, LaMelo coming in, here go the keys. That does not happen, right? However, LaMelo still enters the game and makes enough impact, and his addition to that team raises the bar for them so much that they find themselves as a number 4 seeded team in the NBA draft. So now LaMelo Ball goes from a team that is like, let's trust the process, like the Philadelphia 76ers, which we all expected was going to happen in Charlotte, to now a team that's like, you know what, man, we got a chance to win this. Hence why I say him and Zoe have found themselves in 2 interesting positions. Now, here's the other ticker with this Hornets team. When you look at Zoe, you have in front of him DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Vucevic, And then the rest of his Pat Williams is not playing, but it's debatable that he could be number 4, right? If you look at folks who are in that Hornets organization, you really look at them, they might tell you right now, if it looks at who's playing and the hierarchy of what things have to be, you have a Miles Bridges who's hooping right now, a Gordon Hayward who's got the biggest bag and the money, Terry Rozier who got the bag, who is out right now, and then number 4 you have a LaMelo Ball. Another reason why I say they find themselves in similar situations. Now here's the difference on this Hornets team. LaMelo Ball may be I'm not gonna say he's the 4th option, right? Because I don't think that's accurate at all. But what I'm saying is, like, if they had to rank who was our most impactful, not impactful because I think he's super impactful, who was our best players, right? And then you account veteran, all of that stuff, right? Folks would say, yo, you know what, based on what's happening right now, LaMelo might end up way down there. Is that true? If you ask them who is the player who has the greatest upside, then LaMelo shoots to the top. If you go to the Bulls and you say, you know, all of these guys who got the greatest upside, I don't see them moving Lonzo straight up to the top. He kind of hold his value in that same position in a way that LaMelo don't. You ask a different question, LaMelo is the key piece. If you had to get rid of 3 guys on your team right now, you're not getting rid of LaMelo. If you had to get rid of 3 guys on that Bulls team, you might find Lonzo in that movement. So that's the difference. So what does this mean, and should you be worried about it? I think that you should not be worried about it from this perspective. When it is all said and done, and what we've seen a lot more when it comes to NBA players in their careers, championships, winning seems to matter a ton. These are 2 young dudes who have found themselves early in their career on teams with championship playoff aspirations. If I remember correct, LeBron didn't even go to the playoffs in his 2nd year. I'm pretty sure Kobe probably made that jump to the playoffs in that 2nd year, but his role on that team wasn't as big as these guys will find themselves. If you go through and you look at a lot of young dudes, like let's say a Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson found himself very early on his career on championship teams, and that helps to impact his legacy. Obviously, he had an integral role on those teams and was able to score and facilitate and do all of these things. And this is where the situation I think that LaMelo and Lonzo find themselves into. If they can be on teams right now that are actually winning, it will offset maybe the numbers that folks wanted to see from them at this point in their career when it comes to talking about their legacy. So to me, that's why I say don't even worry about it, because this Bulls team right now, the way they playing, if they could find themselves coming out the East for some reason, the bag gets trickled on you if you Lonzo Ball. When Miles Bridges was negotiating his contract earlier this season, Mitch Kupchak told him, you know what, man, you are a pretty good player, but you are a pretty good player on a bad team. Now let me see you be a pretty good player on a good team, and now we might have some money for you. So I think what we're gonna see from Lonzo Ball is folks gonna say, you know what, bro, you was a pretty good player and you was on a pretty good team, and you have guys like Caruso and all these other dudes who are talented individuals. But I don't believe that if you ask people in that organization, if you take Lonzo Ball off this team right now, do you have the same amount of success that you have currently? I don't think anybody says yes, we could do this without him. No, he's an integral part of that organization and operation in ways that I feel like may not even, if you just watch the box score, don't show up. Same thing with a LaMelo Ball. Now LaMelo was early in his career, only on his 2nd year. So is him last year, what pushed him to be the rookie of the year was the fact that even though he missed half of those games, he was on a team that was winning. he was on a team that was pushing to number 4, and statistically he's having a better season right now statistically than he did on average of last season, I believe. And so I think that it's interesting to see LaMelo and some of the rotation and him being pulled at different times, but I think long term, from a legacy standpoint, if they go on to continue to win, this will help him out. Now, here's why I think you should be worried, especially in the case of LaMelo Ball. I think you should be worried because it seems as if, right? Here's why I think you should be worried. I think you should be worried because the organization seems to be pivoting a bit, right? The organization realized that, you know what, we actually might be better. We thought we were going to be better than last year, but we have a chance to be even better than we were last year. And I think that how this happens is you have these games that end up being really close, and you have guys who are not really good the whole game, right? A lot of people give a lot of praise to Ish Smith for hooping, and I do too. He has showed up big in certain times, but it's the same thing. You'll have the beginning of the game, my dog will have 1 bucket, and then in the 4th quarter, go bananayocho. So now it's the question that you asked. Do you have pieces that will consistently show up and be there for you every game for 4 quarters? I don't think that they have that currently in Charlotte. I think that they have guys who on any night you might have a guy in that bottom 5 players who might show up and give you some crucial points and crucial minutes, which is making them a good team. But if you take one of them bottom 5 players and you move them into the top 5 guys, you don't have the same ball club. And I think that it seems as if, though, this Hornets organization could be a bit disillusioned to think that they might have, we got 10 deep, we got 8 deep, we can rotate this thing, and you ain't got that quite yet. And I think that that is impacting LaMelo, because now when I'm watching some games, I think the strategy that once was we gonna let LaMelo run this thing has turned into, you know what, let's get a ball to such and such, let's let such and such bring it up. Ooh, instead of running some motion, let's just toss it over and go one-on-one for a little bit. Let's just throw it down here. And I think that that is not what this team does best, and that's not what has put them in the position to be as good as they are. I think when it comes to Lonzo, some of the stuff that I think you should worry about is truthfully, I don't think you got much to worry about with him, right? I think that there is, from watching him year in and year out, there's always an opportunity for a slump to happen, right? And I think that it's tough for him to be in that slump, because that boy Caruso hoops. He hoops, and he biting our boy Lonzo heels. The difference though is I think that Caruso may be a better scorer than Lonzo. Lonzo may be a better shooter when he's hot, but Caruso can go to the basket, mid-range, and shoot the 3 when he needs to at times. And I think that the saving grace is if you take a Caruso and you put him in that starting lineup with a Zach LaVine, a DeMar DeRozan, and all of them, you lose some of the scoring that you get from him coming off the bench as a 6th man. And I don't know if Lonzo has that ability to kind of take over a game and score like that in that second unit. Obviously, he could facilitate the hell out of it, but can he score like that? So I think for that reason, I think you could be worried about Lonzo, but I really don't think it's much to worry about. I think that these two dudes have found themselves in 2 good, unique positions, and I'm excited to see where this season takes them. It's your main man, AB the Hero. We finna get up out of here. Peace.
No, not peace. +1 triple B's. We out.